Hey Anons, it's Mr. CHEN-KE here. Welcome back to term 4. I can't believe we're already at the final term of the school year. It's obviously been a little bit of a weird, a little bit of different and challenging school year, to say the very least, but I'm really proud of your efforts so far. Hope you guys all had a great holiday, and I hope you're all excited to get cracking with term 4 of English. So in this short video today, I wanted to give you guys a very broad overview of your wide reading CATs and also our first unit for term 4. Now most of you guys will be aware that this is a comparative unit, so we'll be comparing and contrasting Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, which we studied last term, against Red Fern Now, which is an Indigenous Australian television series which sort of chronicles contemporary Aboriginal Australians as they kind of go about their everyday lives and the different issues that impact the Indigenous community. So the purpose of this short video today is really to introduce the upcoming unit and also give you guys a little bit of a taste of what the CAT will be. So hopefully by the end of this short video you'll be able to understand the expectations of this term's wide reading unit, and I should say this unit also doubles as our wide reading unit for term 4. So essentially we're killing two birds with one stone here. At the end of this unit you'll also get the opportunity to complete for me a little bit of a, I guess we'll call it a quiz, which will help you determine where your current understanding of the episode from Red Fern Now, which is titled Stand Up, is. So that was the episode from Red Fern Now that you were expected to watch over the holidays. So I want to begin this video just giving you guys a little bit of an overview of the unit. Now this is an overview, so it's not going to be a hugely detailed examination into what this unit and what this CAT will look like. Obviously as we progress further into the unit I'll give you guys much more detailed and task specific information. So what are we going to be learning in our wide reading unit this term? So I've written here, in this unit of work, we are going to analyse and compare Harper Lee's novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, which we read and studied and produced a text response essay on last term, against Stand Up, which was the episode from the television series Red Fern Now that you should have watched over the holidays. So we're going to be critically comparing the characters, settings, and themes of both of these texts. And then we're going to have a deeper look into the similarities and differences in the way that both To Kill a Mockingbird and Stand Up have been constructed. So this is the overarching goal of this term's wide reading unit. So you may be wondering, why are we doing a comparative study? So I've picked out 3 reasons that I feel are most relevant to you guys. So the first one in blue is the fact that in VCE English, so if you choose to do mainstream English in VCE, you will need to write what we call a comparative essay. So you're going to need to compare 2 texts. Usually that's a film and a novel. Sometimes though you'll compare, for example, a short story to a poem. But essentially in VCE English, part of the curriculum is a comparative study. You're going to need to compare and write a comparative essay, critically comparing and contrasting 2 texts. In the red there, I think comparative studies are quite interesting because it enables us to have a deeper exploration of the chosen texts. So obviously last term we already read and completed a CAT and an analysis of To Kill a Mockingbird, but the fact that we now have a little bit of extra time to go back and revisit To Kill a Mockingbird, I feel like is a really interesting opportunity for us to maybe take a little bit of a deeper look into some of the issues in the book that we didn't really get the chance to last term. So we're going to do a little bit more exploration around what Southern America was really like in the 1920s and 1930s. We're going to do much more work around the Jim Crow laws and segregation, and obviously comparing that to a lot of the racial issues that we deal with in contemporary Australia. And last but not least, I think a really interesting facet of comparative units and comparative studies is in the green there. We get to explore different worlds and different contexts. So in this unit, you'll get to explore the world of To Kill a Mockingbird in quite a bit of detail. So you'll be able to explore 1920s, 1930s America. You'll look at the Great Depression and how that ravaged the American South, not just financially, but how it also created racial barriers and kind of erected racial lines that we are still trying to get over and still trying to reconcile today. And you'll also get to explore contemporary Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander issues. So we know that the Indigenous community in Australia is unfortunately in many cases still marginalised and disadvantaged. So we'll get to explore these issues of race, of history, of culture in both a modern context through Stand Up and Redfern Now, but we'll also be able to look at it through a historical lens, through To Kill a Mockingbird. So these are some of the reasons why a comparative study can be quite interesting and can be relevant for your English learning in Year 9 and also beyond. So this is a very, I guess, a very brief and a very broad overview of what this unit will look like and the timeline. So I'm going to say, and you know, the nature of this term and of remote learning means that things could change. In fact, I think things will change, but I'm currently planning this unit to be about 4 weeks. So we're starting with the unit overview today. Later on today, you'll have the chance to do a bit of a quiz. And then later on this week, we're going to review characterization, setting and theme. And then you'll have the chance to view Stand Up again. Now, obviously, you will also have the chance to reread certain excerpts from To Kill a Mockingbird. You'll be taking some notes and undertaking some comparative analysis later on in this unit, which I'll explain later on in this video. And then we'll have some time in about week 4 this term, perhaps potentially week 5, just depending on how the timeline works and how we go. But in the final stages of this unit, you'll be able to produce an oral presentation. So how is your understanding going to be assessed? So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the CAT will be for this unit. So the wide reading CAT is broken up into 2 components. Component 1 is what I'm going to refer to as journaling, or alternatively note-taking. So as you read To Kill a Mockingbird again and watch Stand Up from the Redfern Now series, you're going to need to be an active thinker. And this is something that you guys should all be quite familiar with. It's all good and well to read for leisure and for pleasure. A lot of us do that, and I love the fact that a lot of you guys are keen and avid readers. But it's also important to think and read critically and for analysis. So in the first component of the CAT, you're going to need to record your thinking in a journal, i.e. take notes, about the similarities and differences between To Kill a Mockingbird and Stand Up in relation to both stories' characters, settings and themes. In the second component of this CAT, you're going to use the notes that you've taken in your journal and deliver an oral presentation. So you're going to present some kind of presentation, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but essentially your job is to critically compare and contrast the characters, settings and themes in both texts. Now I'm going to give you prompts or guiding questions to help you structure a presentation. So if you're a little bit worried that you're not sure, what do I talk about, what do I compare, how do I compare all these different elements, don't fear, I'm actually going to give you guys a list of questions and prompts that you can use to structure your presentation around. But I really want to focus on this fact that you can present in any mode that you like. So how you go about delivering and creating your presentation is very much up to you. You could record yourself presenting a speech, and you could have PowerPoint slides or Google slides accompanying your presentation. You could even do a book trailer, or you could adopt the persona of a handful of the main characters from To Kill a Mockingbird and Stand Up and present through that character. So the possibilities are endless. I'm not really going to be giving you guys a set form or mode that you need to present through. But obviously I will be here to sort of guide you through the oral presentation process, but you can be as creative as you want. So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of what this unit and what your CAT this term will be about. If you do have any questions, make sure you find me an email or ask in our Zoom sessions later this week. What I wanted you guys to do at the conclusion of today's lesson though is to have a little go at a holiday viewing quiz, which is going to allow you to reflect on your holiday homework. So your job is to open our Google Classroom stream, and on the very first post on the stream, you're going to see a Google Forms quiz link that's embedded. So I want you to open up that quiz link and have a go at the questions in the quiz. So they're a mixture of multiple choice and short answer questions. After each short answer question, or at the very end of the quiz, you can open up the quiz to see your marks. And for each short answer question, I've also typed sort of like a suggested answer. So you can have a read of my suggested answer and sort of compare that with what you wrote. Now, because this quiz is a mixture of multiple choice and short answer questions, you will get a mark for your multiple choice questions. So most of the multiple choice questions will be 1 mark, but for the short answer questions, you're not going to get a mark because it's a little bit too difficult to give you guys standardized marks for each of the short answer questions. I think all of you guys would write different things, all your responses and all your answers will vary, so I'm not going to give you guys a mark for the short answer questions at the end of the quiz. I'll obviously go in, read it, and then give you guys some comments or some feedback on Google Classroom afterwards. Now remember, you only get 1 attempt to complete this quiz, which when you open it up will look like this. So make sure you read each of the questions carefully and you take your time. I haven't set a time limit on this, so take as much time as you need. Okay, alrighty, so thanks Year 9s. I hope you guys had a good holidays, and I hope this video sort of gives you guys a little bit of an overview of what our first unit this term will look like. As always, if you have any questions, find me an email, comment on our Google Classroom stream, or pop onto our Zoom calls later on this week and ask me your question. Otherwise, welcome back to Term 4. I'm really glad to have you guys back, and fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll be back in the classroom sooner rather than later. Alright, thanks Year 9s, see ya later.